Yeah, I'm not a big leftover guy, Corey. You know, I'm just not a big leftover guy, and I'll tell you what, the leftovers from the Bahamas tasted even worse. This is the McKale Madness podcast. I'm Saul Bookman. That's my guy, Corey Williams. 1994, because we're rocking the shirt today. Let's get this out of the way.
I like that.
There you go.
That's hot. I like that.
Final Four, which you were on. So welcome to the show, everyone. Let's get to it. Corey, that sucked.
Man. You know, when you look at the field, you knew there were going to be some people that took some lumps, and not everybody was going to come out of there with their season intact or heading in the right direction. But you certainly didn't expect for Arizona to drop 3 like that. Nobody did.
Well, they didn't drop 3. They got the first one against Davidson, but then Oklahoma and West Virginia. Not so good. And it was a variety of different things. I mean, we could go back and forth on this in terms of what really happened. But again, it just felt like it was like they were trying to swim upstream the whole time. Just resistance. They'd make a run, then they fall back, make a run, fall back. And they couldn't find any consistency on the defensive end, especially guarding the 3. And then on the offensive end, they still haven't found their sweet spot in terms of that go-to play or those go-to sets that you just know you can run consistently and get some good shots. Surprisingly enough, though, they did have good shots. They just weren't connecting. If your name wasn't Caleb Love when he's not on a bad streak.
No, I think you hit the nail on the head with the word consistency. When you watch teams play, here's what's going on. Offense is contagious. Defense is contagious. Guy takes a charge, it pumps up the rest of the team. Guy gets a block and a breakaway dunk. Guy makes a 3. All of that stuff is contagious, and so is inconsistency. When there's no rhythm, it spreads to everybody. Basketball teams demand and have to have order, almost like back in the day where you had the king and everybody underneath it's literally that type of ranking and pecking order. It has to take place on a basketball team. Arizona has yet to establish any type of pecking order offensively. What are our weapons? Who are our go-to guys? And you see it when they play. It's not chaos, but like you said, it's moments of one guy does one thing, then another guy does one thing, but it's not 15, 20 minutes of continuous concerted effort. There's no certainty behind it. And Saul, I'll be honest with you, man, I like the t-shirt you have on, but this right here is inspired Arizona basketball. It was abominable.
Yeah.
You see what I did there? You like that? That's a throwback. Most people don't know where this shirt came from, but I do and you do, and that's all that matters.
No, it was really bad. Let's talk about individual players and just kind of go from there. Okay. Let's start with the bigs. Okay. Because I think that's a primary focus. This is what I'll say about Caleb Love, and we'll get to him in a second, but it's easy to always try and trash Caleb Love because he's the only one to me that's willing to take shot after shot to try and get them back in the ball game, right? And so it's easy for people to bag on him and be like, oh, Caleb, I wish – like people are literally trying to tell me that they would rather have Josan Sanon right now at ASU than Caleb Love. And I'm like, stop with this mess. Like, Josan Sanon ain't doing it against the top teams in the country, so stop. Like, right. Caleb Love is going to be fine. So anyway, the bigs have been soft. They've been mediocre. They have not found their footing. They've been unplayable at times, especially defensively. And they seem lost in the sauce because I know the development expectation was higher than what they are getting right now.
Well, I think it all ties together. When there's a post entry, you got 4 guys standing around watching the big, hoping he'll do something. Is he going to spin to the middle and get us 2 points? Is he going to spin baseline and go glass and get an and one? Is he going to draw a double team and kick it out to us for a wide open shot? And when you give it inside and nothing happens, or even worse, a turnover happens, confidence erodes, and then you see the team go away from getting it to the bigs. Now, they did come out and establish more of an inside game against Oklahoma than they had done all season, and it was refreshing to see a couple of post touches. But to your larger point, when big guys come in the game, they've got to know what their role is so they know what to do. A coach has to lay out, hey, this is what we need from you. And right now, running back and forth, getting rebounds and just rotating and hedging on screens, that's not much of a presence. Arizona's going to need more from their bigs. And I don't want to be too hard on anybody because we're only 7 games in. However, we've got another 3 or 4 games before, they got the UCLA game after next. So they really going to have it together for that team because Mick Cronin is a hell of a coach. And the one thing they do at UCLA is they D up. So they got a gimme coming up this weekend, and then it's UCLA, and they better be ready because the Bruins won't let up defensively. But you're right. Bigs, I don't want to say they were non-existent. I want to say that they need to be better for this Arizona team to be better.
I think stylistically against the 2 teams that they matched up against, there was a lot of length. There's a lot of athleticism. I want to say that pretty clear. They had some athleticism on both sides of the ball, and it made the matchups a little more, difficult for Arizona. And especially when you're looking at, Krivas trying to go to the perimeter and guard, even Awaka, not the greatest defender on the perimeter either. I think that was where they struggled the most. And you almost have to play drop coverage. And because of that drop coverage, what happens, Corey, when you play drop coverage? You give up wide open threes. And that's what happened too often in these games. I mean, wide open threes, dribble, kick out, wide open. In the second game, it wasn't as egregious as against Oklahoma. The second game, because I don't really count Davidson. The second game, or the third game, I guess you could say, against West Virginia wasn't as egregious as against Oklahoma. And I really liked the way that they fought back and sent it to overtime against West Virginia. And West Virginia, 3 straight days of overtime games. They beat Gonzaga. They lost their next game, and then they beat Arizona. So, West Virginia proved that they're a good team. Oklahoma, still undefeated. They're proving they're a good team. So I think there's a little bit of overreaction to things that people just don't know about. You don't know anything about these teams yet. So it's hard to just make assessments like, oh, Arizona's trash because they lost to Oklahoma and West Virginia. Well, maybe Oklahoma and West Virginia are just good. Just like if you look at the Big 12 in football, how many teams in the top 6 preseason were actually in the top 6 at the end of the season? 2. That's it. So, it's hard to make your assumptions if you don't really know what's going to shake out. And with the transfer portal, with recruiting, you never know how things will line up.
Every coach right now in December, they're all in the same mode. What do I got? What do I have? I want to have 11, but do I really have 8? I want to have 3 bigs, but do I really have 2? I was hoping to post and play inside out, but am I going to play out 4? Am I going to play 4 out, 1 in? Every coach is searching to find out what he has because conference play is right around the corner. So Arizona is no different. There's not a bad loss on Arizona's schedule. I mean, you talk about the 4 losses. They weren't the slouches. There was no crazy game that they lost to a team they should have beat by 20.
All Power 5s.
Yeah, all Power 5s. And I'd be surprised that if 3 of those 4 aren't tournament teams come March, which says a lot. And you'll see, like you said, how things shake out. It doesn't feel that way now, but there's so much basketball to be played. So you certainly don't want to hit the panic button. I know Arizona fans haven't been on a side of a losing record, and I don't know when. Somebody have to look up that stat, but I know it's been a long time. But it's definitely new territory for the Wildcats and Wildcat Nation. Nobody's happy right now. Those were winnable games, but I'm going to say something crazy. They looked better each game.
Yeah.
And from a coaching standpoint, that's what you want. Now, you didn't get the dubs, and Arizona fans, myself included, all we care about is dubs. You didn't get the wins, but from an analyst standpoint, they did look better each night out. But the problem is there's so much meat left on the bone with this team. There's so much being left at the table. They are underperforming. And I don't mean that as a knock against Coach Lloyd or the guys. I know what this team could possibly be. And if they build to that, they could come back and play these teams and beat them by 10 or 15 points. Easy. So we know there's potential. And I think that's where a lot of fans' frustration comes from. They see the potential, but then they see the final score and they're like, hey, what the heck's going on?
How would you assess KJ, Caleb, and Jaden's performance as a trio? Because it feels that also feels disconnected at times. I feel like KJ has struggled to try and find his groove at times. Caleb hasn't been as assertive in some moments, and he's been more assertive in others. Especially in the second half, I think Caleb has been very good about being assertive in the second half. Jaden Bradley kind of went MIA against West Virginia unexpectedly. Like there's this disconnect, and I feel like you still don't know what you're going to get with those three on a game-to-game basis. What has been your assessment when you look at those three?
Well, I think with Jaden Bradley, he's by far the most experienced and most confident we have right now. Caleb's got experience, but he doesn't seem to be confident right now. But Jaden Bradley he's playing great basketball. He's not forcing things. West Virginia tried to take a lot away from him, the way they guarded him on ball screens, the way they guarded him in transition. He was smart enough not to force anything. So it looked like he kind of faded and stepped back, but really he was just playing sound basketball. KJ Lewis, this is his first time tipping off. He didn't start last year. He wasn't getting a lot of minutes last year. So this is his first time in the sun as a starter. And what you're seeing, the growing pains, the maturity, that's any first-time starter getting minutes at Arizona. So I think you'll see him by the end of the year be a completely different player once he's got a few more games under his belt and realizes, hey, I'm starting. I'm going to play 25, 35 minutes. It's somewhere in between there. I'm not going to get the hook if I make mistakes. He'll settle in. The difference between those two and Caleb's got all the experience. Caleb's got more talent, but Caleb is just out of rhythm. He's not in sync. He's trying to let the game come to him. He's trying to play perfect, from my opinion, and he just has to let it rip. He can't be out there worried about missed shots. They're going to talk trash on the internet. Scouts are going to say what they're going to say. Bro, we need you to play basketball. That's all we need you to do. I don't care if you shoot threes. I don't care if you make layups. I don't care if you get to the free throw line. I need you to be active and not worry about being evaluated. That's for guys like you and me on the podcast to evaluate Caleb. But I think he's stepping out onto the court with all of that in his head, because this is the last go round for Caleb Love. It's NBA or bust, and I know that that's part of the narrative, but I really hope he settles down and just settles into focusing on the games in front of him, because he's way better than what he's been putting on film right now.
I'll say this about Caleb Love to defend Caleb Love, and I will defend Caleb Love because you have to understand there are certain players out there that will not make it look pretty all the time. They will not do what you think should be the right play all the time. But when the rubber meets the road and it's crunch time and you need that somebody to step up and get you a bucket, Caleb Love will not shy away from that opportunity. And that's what I love about Caleb Love. And I don't want him to lose that. And there's been so much hate thrown his way. People thinking that they better. No, Arizona would not be better off without Caleb Love. Caleb Love, when he's grooving, he is one of the best players in the country. You can't replicate that just with some random freshman that you just happen to like his highlights on damn YouTube. Like, that just isn't going to happen, right? Caleb Love is a player that I feel very confident in saying Arizona will not get to a Final Four unless Caleb Love plays at a high level. That's just what it is. If there was no Caleb Love on this team would be fighting to get to the tournament. Straight up. Like, I think they would be fighting to get to the tournament. Like, I don't think that it would be, and I'm not saying like on the bottom part of that. Like, I think they would make the tournament, but it would like every game would be a grind, because you don't have that superstar talent that can help elevate things from game to game and make some games just flat out easier because they're just that good. And that's the thing I think they miss about Caleb Love. Caleb Love's high is higher than just about everybody else in the country when he's on.
That's true. And I'm going to say this, and I'm when it was announced that Caleb Love was coming back to Arizona, I'm not going to say who, but I got a text message from a buddy of mine. He said, Caleb's coming back. And I text him immediately, well, there's 15 wins. That's how I felt. The moment Caleb Love said he was returning to Arizona, I knew we had 15 wins in the bank. Now, were we going to get to 25? Depends on the people that are around him, depends on a lot of things. But having a Caleb Love on your team is a guaranteed 15 wins in the college basketball season. If you're any kind of coach, you can make that happen with a player of his caliber. The difference between 15 wins and 25 depends on the scheme that he's in, and it depends on the players that are around him and how they affect him. People are complaining about his shooting. People complaining about Caleb Love's shooting is like having you don't have a pond in your backyard and you're complaining that you have no ducks. The two things go together. When you don't have an inside game, it's easy to focus on shooters. When you're getting nothing in the paint, it's easy to double and hedge and trail and do all kinds of things to take away what you do have. I've played with dozens of shooters in my career. They all have been tied to something that allowed them to get open. A point guard that can break down the defense off the dribble, a big man that requires a double team, a wing player that you have to send to or penetrates and gets in the lane. I mean, you look back go back to our 97 team. Miles Simon lived in the lane, took his man right to the lane. He dropped it off for dunks. He dropped it off for wide open threes. Arizona was lethal because they had guys that required and created action. Caleb Love, despite his great shooting, cannot do it by himself. There are only a couple of guys I know that are great shooters that really don't need anybody. And both of those guys in the NBA, that's Klay Thompson and Steph Curry. They both have a handle and can get their shot off and don't need any help. Every other shooter I've ever met in life, including the great Ray Allen, needed to be in a system opposite KG. I mean, he was good in Milwaukee, but he wasn't Boston good. So when you look at shooters, you have to tie them to the system that they're in. How are we creating shots for this guy? Because if we're just saying, hey, go out there and shoot it, well, he's going to shoot 25% and you're going to be mad because he's throwing up bricks. But if he's got some type of system where his weaponry can be on display, you see the numbers go up and the haters come down. And that's what Arizona has to do for Caleb Love. But he does need to be a tad more aggressive. I will say that.
There's a lot of good comments in the chat. Also, thank you guys for joining us tonight. 171 of you live right now. Appreciate you. But also, listen, we got Andy, Tony, Lost Highway. I think I saw Erica in there earlier. And Mama Thomas is in the house. June Thomas. Kev, there you go. And then Kevo also. So we appreciate that. A couple questions that people do have. They said, should Arizona go to a zone defense given their defensive issues? I would say no, because I don't know about you, Corey, but as a shooter, the best defense to play against is a zone defense. I mean, just licking your lips, ready.
Here's the thing about zone. Man-to-man comes instinctively. Man-to-man I teach man-to-man defensive principles to 7- and 8-year-olds at my camps. You've been playing man-to-man your whole life. Zone defense is so cerebral. There are so many rules to it. It takes away your edge because you're guarding an area. You have specific rules based on where the ball is and then where the ball goes. And if you don't have the basketball IQ from players 1 through 9, a zone is your worst option. And the reason that coaches have two different groups, coaches that coach and play zone and coaches that don't. The coaches that don't, they may spend a few minutes in practice teaching their guys the basics in case they're ever in a jam, like somebody's got foul trouble and we got to go zone. But that's not their Bible. That's not what they live by. There's two distinct religions in college basketball. Mm-hmm. And you can look at every head coach and I can tell you right away, he's a zone guy. He's a man guy. He's a 1-3-1. He's a 2-3. They learned it from the coach that brought them into the game and they coach it now on their team. Tommy's not a zone guy. Mark Few isn't a zone guy. So I know Arizona's probably not well preached and versed and educated in zone. So for them to try to flip the switch 7 games in and start teaching zone, it might get bad for a couple of games until they get used to it. He has the athleticism to play man-to-man. When you play zone, you're admitting, I don't have the horses to deal with you one-on-one. I don't have the athleticism or the talent to guard you properly. So we're going to stand around with our hands up and be scarecrows and hope you miss. If you walk into the Big 12 with that, you won't win 5 games. You won't.
No. Okay.
There's too many dudes that can penetrate and dunk and shoot and score. You have to meet people where they are in their chest with man-to-man defense. KJ can guard. Jaden can guard. Caleb can guard. Toby can guard. They've got bodies to guard. The problem really is in defense. I think this is a 90-point per game Arizona team. I just don't know when we're going to start to unlock it and get there.
I I would agree with you, Corey. However, I would say that there's a couple pieces that reflect more of a zone identity than a man-to-man identity. And you see that in the rotations as well. I think there's some communication issues because guys get a little lax or they just don't really understand, because you do have to rotate in man-to-man defense too. Somebody covers for you because they got beat on a pick and roll and they get help and you got to shade over and there's no rotating.
But you just said it. You just said it. This is, and I didn't mean to cut you off, but this is the difference. And I hate to be a Coach O guy, but you didn't play at Arizona if you couldn't play man-to-man. If you got beat, you came out of the game. The only way, regardless of what you could do offensively, the only way you got on the court at Arizona was through your defense. If you weren't holding us back, if you weren't the weak link, you can come out here and play. Now, Coach didn't care if you made 2, 3, 4 threes in a row. That's great. Play defense. If you can defend, you get on the court. If we have to help you, you're hurting us. So what you're saying is true. Yes, there is times where you have to rotate in man-to-man. But the goal is to have 5 dudes who can guard. And if you don't have 5 dudes who can guard, if you've only got 2, then maybe you do have to look at the zone option. So, yeah, I get what you're saying. I just know from sitting in practices and shoot-arounds, watching zone defense be coached, they didn't play zone in college or high school. There's no zone defenses in the AAU. They don't understand principles. So you spend the first 4 months of the season teaching them defensive principles. And then the layer on the zone, yeah, it's a lot of work. But I get what you're saying. I totally get what you're saying.
Listen, I'm going to tell you that it's not as bad as you all think it is after this break. Folks, it was National Signing Day today. I don't know if you guys know that or not. But I felt like, maybe I would just make a decision today. Should I go red? Should I go blue? Should I go white? Should I go the other white? Or should I go gray? Let me know in the chat, because Brandon Bills has got all these cool hats for me to display and wear at my own choosing, because they're some of the best brands. It is the best hat brand out there, bar none. Fantastic. Brandon Bills they had phenomenal deals over Black Friday. So if you missed out, you missed out. We also got our own headwear at PHNX for you to take advantage of. We got cool hats. We got a Phoenix black hat. We got a gray hat with a flag on it. Like, go check it out at gophnx.com and get yourself a Brandon Bills cap. But also go to brandonbills.com, because brandonbills.com has got all types of apparel. They've got all types of hats. Corey's getting one in the mail as we speak. Different shades. We got black, white. There's gray. Obviously, you saw the blue earlier. Like, they just do such a phenomenal job, and you really got to take advantage of getting your hands on one, because Brandon Bills is where it's at. Go to brandonbills.com, and because we love you and we want you to get hooked up, we will say that you can save 20% by just using promo code PHNX. It's that simple. That's exactly what you need to do to get your head looking right for every U of A game that you attend, or even if you go to a bar and you want to hang out with the peeps. So I got 2 votes in the chat. Folks, we got to do better than that. What are we doing here? I only got 2 votes. I can't wear 2 hats at the same time. So I need another flavor my way. But until then, we appreciate you. brandonbills.com, PHNX, and save yourself up to 20%. So
I'm excited. I'm excited. You got some stuff coming to me. I can't wait to get it.
I got some cool stuff coming your way. I will say that. I think you're going to be pretty excited about it. So, all right, folks, we can go on and on about how much the struggle bus has gone on with Arizona, but I'm here to tell you that it's never as bad as you may seem. I'm in this Facebook group. It's the Big 12 Facebook group, and it's just an absolute ish show in there.
I'm sorry to hear that.
I don't even know why I even bother, because every single person not every single person, there's some good people in there, but it's like people just post to try and antagonize and try to, make people mad. So when Arizona's losing, I thought Arizona was supposed to be, Arizona sucks at football and they suck at basketball now too. I thought they were supposed, like, dude, calm down. Okay. I'm going to give you some numbers that prove this out, because first of all, yes, I know that Arizona, for the first time since Tommy was ranked as an Arizona coach, because he wasn't at the very beginning, is not ranked in the top 25 for the first time in 3 seasons. That sucks. It sucks. It's not great. Yeah, we're a little tired of being the laughing stock of college sports, but it's going to turn around. I promise you that, because all these other teams, Corey, are losing too. Look, number 2 Alabama, who just beat North Carolina, their worst loss, unranked Oregon. Number 3 UConn lost to unranked Memphis, Colorado, and Dayton in consecutive days. And then Houston, unranked, lost to San Diego State. I'm sorry, Houston at number 4 lost to San Diego State. These are all the preseason rankings, by the way. They were all these they're not ranked like this now. This is what they were at the time. And then you have Gonzaga at number 6, who lost to the same team we lost to. Actually, they lost by 1 point more, but it's still more, to West Virginia. Baylor actually just got beat by UConn, which is funny. They were number 8. They lost to Gonzaga and Tennessee. And then North Carolina, they lost to an unranked Michigan State team. It's just, again, like it's such a long season. And this is proof that all these teams are trying to figure it out as well. Even UConn, back-to-back national champions. They got a good coach. They got a good program, but they still have things that they have to learn, because every season is a new season. And the good coaches will prove themselves out over the course of the year.
Well, I've been in the TV biz for going on almost 10 years now, I think. I can't remember. But as an analyst, I pay zero attention to rankings until the beginning of the year. And the reason that I don't pay attention to rankings is because rankings aren't reality. They're votes. Literally, they're people's opinion on where they think a team is and how they think a team's going to end up. So, excuse me. For people who give a lot of credit to those little white numbers in front of the team, yeah, you're going to be stressed. You're going to have anxiety because you put a lot of faith in a bunch of people's opinion 7 games into a season. I usually wait until right before conference play, and then I scratch out my top 25 based on what I've seen. I've seen 10 games. 4 or 5 of those games mean nothing because they were just a little warm-up non-conference blowout games where you give somebody a check to come in and take a beating. I don't count those games. I look at the holiday tournaments against other programs that they're going to have to compete with. And then I look at, with Mr. Lenardi, I look at his list of, he starts, right around now, starts projecting for the NCAA tournament. But I look at teams that are probably going to be tournament-worthy teams. And I don't give a lot of stock to 7 or 8 games in because, like I said, half of that schedule is nonsense. I don't give a lot of stock to statistics 7 or 8 games in. I don't care about the 25 points you had against Kinesis. They're not going to be in your conference. They're not going to be in the tournament. Oh, he's scoring 25 points again. Yeah, bro, it's November. It's December. That's nice. That all goes away when conference play starts. What I look at is Arizona being competitive against West Virginia, Oklahoma. Can they be competitive in a hostile environment like at Wisconsin? Can they hold their own at home against a team like Duke? Because here's the news flash for Arizona fans. Every game they play after December 30th, including the UCLA game on the 14th, every game they play in the Big 12 will be just like the Oklahoma and West Virginia games, just like the Duke game, just like the Wisconsin game. If you don't think at Kansas isn't going to be crazy like it was at Wisconsin, then you got to learn a little bit about college basketball. Arizona may walk out of here with some double-digit wins this season. The team that I'm seeing now won't have a lot of them. But they're all going to be fistfights. So just buckle up. There's going to be nights where we beat teams we shouldn't, and there's going to be nights where we may drop a game that we shouldn't. But the Big 12 is going to be parity this year. No question about it.
I always think about those UCLA games where they were just physical. They were tough. Both teams are going at it, especially in your day. That's how I feel like this version of the Big 12 is going to be. It's like every game is going to be a grind. Like, they used to say, what's it feel like being an Arizona fan? They just clench your butt cheeks up for 2 hours a day and then tell me how you feel afterwards. Like, this is going to be all season. Like, that's just what it is. Like, every single team that they face, first of all, Arizona is a name. I don't care if you want to think that they're a blue blood or not. Doesn't matter. Arizona is still a brand name in college basketball. So when the new kid comes into town to Iowa, to Ames, Iowa, or to Lawrence, Kansas, or to Manhattan, Kansas, it doesn't matter to that fan base. It's a new team. It's Arizona. We've heard all about them. Let's ball up. Let's see how it goes. Like, that's just how it's going to be. Let's get to some stats though. Okay. Ken Pom has their ranking, right? And according to Ken Pom, Arizona is ranked 29th in overall rating. Okay. 29th, which is about right based on how they played so far, right? This is the surprising part. Arizona is the only team in the top 80 to be ranked. And I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought. 29th. Oh, they're the only team with a losing record in the top 80. The only team. Okay. According to ESPN BPI, right? The Basketball Performance Index, Arizona is 14th, not even 29th. They're 14th, rated 14th. And the BPI is what Joe Lunardi also uses as well, just so you know. Again, the only team in the top 80 to have a losing record. So it's like, and currently the BPI has projected that Arizona will finish with a 19-12 record. Okay. That's 8 more losses. Okay. Buckle up. It could get kind of grimy. Yeah, it could be grimy, but I think these rankings are they're nice, but they're not the ultimate portrayal of what you're going to ultimately be when you get to February and March and April. I just don't believe that, because Corey, you just said it a million times. Like, teams are different at the end of the season versus the beginning of the season, good or bad.
They completely are different. And I'll try to talk Wildcat Nation down off the ledge. The NCAA tournament, March Madness, 68 teams, neutral site, win or go home, win in advance. It's a fist fight. It's a bloodbath. It's whatever you want to call it. If you're walking into a dark alley with somebody and you got a team, you say, hey man, I'm about to walk in this alley, 68 other teams. We got to fight to the death. You want to be with somebody who's been in a couple of fights. And what you're seeing with Arizona, based on their schedules, they've been in a couple of fights. They got some scars, but they're not going to play anybody tougher than who they've already played. And it's just now December. They're not going to play a few more teams as strong as Duke. They're not going to play feisty teams like at Wisconsin. So they've played decent teams in high leverage environments already. Now, coach will tell you, oh, we want to find out who we are. We want to get some bumps and bruises before we get into conference play. Nobody wants to lose. But like I said, I don't know that basketball is going to get much more difficult than it has been for Arizona. They got to come out on the winning side of a lot of these games. But as far as being tested, yeah, I think it's a good thing. I think a 19-12 Arizona team probably still gets into the tournament because of the quality of play. And here's the other thing. When you wear Arizona on your chest, it's like the neighborhood kid walking around with a bag of candy and all the bullies want to take candy from you. Every time a lesser team knocks you off, it increases their tournament chances. You're the people we can gain, RPI from. You're the people we can get strength of schedule from. You're the people who we can get KenPom from. So you're walking in the door with this bag of candy that everybody is going to want to take from you. Even if it's the only win we have, harken back to those Oregon State upsets up there in Corvallis when Arizona used to go up there and lose to them. And I used to tell people all the time, this is their Super Bowl. They're not going to the tournament. They got Arizona once at home, and Wayne Tinkle would throw everything in the kitchen sink at Sean Miller, and he would beat them.
Yeah.
And the Oregon State players didn't care that they weren't going to the tournament. They didn't care if they got bounced in the first game in Vegas. We beat Arizona in our home game. And God forbid it's senior night, and you got Arizona coming in. I saw what Colorado did to Sean Miller a few years ago, senior night in Colorado. It was brutal. I was doing the game. So Arizona has to get, like you said, they have to get into this mind state. We're the brand. People are coming for us. No self-pity. You don't have time for a lot of soul searching because conference play starts in about 3 weeks.
There's no other bigger brand in the Big 12 outside of Kansas. Like,
right.
Like Baylor's cute and all, Houston's cute and all. And I'm not trying to be disrespectful of them. Those are quality programs. Iowa State, quality program. Not taking anything away about that. But Arizona is a little bit different. and so is Kansas. Like they're just different. And so,
Let-
yeah, I agree with you. It's kind of like when I got off the cruise ship in Jamaica. It was like, oh, they all knew I was a tourist, and they just ran over, trying to give me some stuff. So, like, yeah,
and
man. Like,
and here's something. I'll take you behind the curtain a little bit as an Arizona player. I won't name names, but we played UCLA. I get in the game. I think I was a freshman, sophomore. Guy goes up, I block his shot, and he turns and he says something to me, and I looked him dead in the face, and I said, "That's why your blank blank is at UCLA." When you go to a school and you've been recruited and you get a chance to play against a school that didn't recruit you or a school that you should have gone to, players bring that with them. They bring that energy. So if I'm at Baylor or Texas Tech and I never got recruited by Arizona and I think I'm Arizona material, I'm bringing that energy to the game. Guys love to play against coaches and programs that did not recruit them. They love to make statements. I went JUCO route. I was overlooked, and now I'm here at Houston, and I got a chance to tee it up against the mighty Arizona. I fought and clawed my way to become the starting point guard at Houston, and now I'm going to show out against this ESPN top whatever point guard. I'm going to try to make a name off of Jaden Bradley in Arizona. That is what's going on every night for the rest of the season. And guys just got to understand it. It comes with the territory.
Amen. Amen. We got a couple players that might be joining our territory, but I'll tell you about that after this break. Folks, if you haven't been out there right now at Gila River Resorts and Casinos, we got our guy Archie Bradley doing a Q&A. There's a lot of people there. I just left from there about an hour ago. Fantastic event, free drinks, a bunch of an opportunity to talk to, one of the better closers in Diamondbacks history, or one of the better relievers in Diamondbacks history, I should say. And it was fun. It was fun. And Gila River is where it's at. If you want to go to some of our watch parties, if you want to go just have a good time, they have so many amenities out there. They have a spa, they have a golf course, they have a resort, they have hotel rooms, and then they have a state-of-the-art facility that has a bunch of gaming in there as well. You got to go out to Gila Resorts and Casinos because they are Gila River Resorts and Casinos because they do it right. So you do you at Gila River Resorts and Casinos. They are going to treat you first class at every single turn. I have always been impressed every single time I've gone in there. You will be too. I promise you that. So once again, you do you at Gila River Resorts and Casinos. Visit play@gila.com for more details. And also, while you're heading out that way, you might as well go ahead and swing on by the good old Circle K, because that's where it's at as well. Circle K is one of our favorite partners as well. Circle K is always hooking you guys up. You guys have all heard Mike Luke talking about Back the K. We don't have to go on and on about it. You guys know what the deal is. Back the K here, because backing the K means that you support a great company and their initiatives out there in the community. They also want to hook you up with a bunch of free stuff. So like get 5 free drinks just by signing up for the Inner Circle app. Get some gas at 25 cents off a gallon just upon sign up for your first 5 fill-ups. And then there's the gas day that they do, fuel day, where it's like 40 or 60 cents off. Plus you could use your discounts for that too. So like it's all fantastic at Circle K. They're going to hook you up with beverages at 79 cents. If you use the Inner Circle app at 69 cents, nice. So again, hook yourself up, go to Circle K and tell them Saul sent you. It won't mean anything, but it'll be cool to say. All right. All right, Corey. Let's get into these final 2 topics. These 2 players, Bryce James, Alijah Arenas. Obviously, Alijah just reclassed yesterday, and Gilbert has been on the record saying that he thinks he should go G League and just get straight to the league as fast as possible. But there's also a lot of hesitation in that because it's ultimately not his decision. It is his son's decision. And if he wants to go play for a school, then he's going to go play for a school. And I think one of those schools is obviously going to be Arizona. They are very interested in Alijah. They're also interested in Bryce, but they've got a couple other, good prospects out there as well. Like Koa Pete's one of them. Bryce and Burris is good too. I would love either combination of those guys. I'd be cool with. Now let's start with Bryce. Here's my unfiltered opinion of Bryce James. I think he's a project. I think it's going to take him a little bit of time to develop the athleticism or the physical traits necessary to compete at a very high level. I think he has some good traits that are discernible. And I think, he's 6'6". You're hoping that he's going to continue to grow. He's got some athletic ability, but I think he's got too many weaknesses right now to perform straight off the bat in the Division I high level like Arizona would expect of their players. I don't know if you've had an opportunity to take a look at Bryce, but what do you think, Corey?
He ain't it, bro. He ain't it, bro. Nah, you real nice and real polite, and I get what you're saying, but I'm gonna keep it a buck with you, man. Your daddy's a billionaire. You good, man. No, man. Bryce, I've seen him play. I've watched his games. He's not a Power 5 player. He's 6'4", maybe 190. He has no guard skills. He really can't shoot off the dribble. Like, at his height, his package should be way different talent-wise than what it is. He plays like a 4, but he's 6'4". And I don't know anything about the kid personally, but when I watch his game, I'm thinking, my God, he's not a high-level Division I perimeter player. And anybody who tells you that he is lying to you.
Yeah.
Now, there will be people that offer him. He will definitely be a collegiate player. I think he's got a great motor. God knows he comes from a wonderful family, and I'm sure he's a pleasurable kid to be around. But when you look at his skill set for 6'4", 190, if I'm an NBA scout, if I'm a college recruiter, if I'm a college scout, I'm not putting my job on the line telling somebody that that's a 2 guard, because that's not a 2 guard. And it shouldn't be a controversy to say that. He's a very talented, athletic kid, but he doesn't have shooting guard skills for his height. So now you're looking at, is he a mid-major kid? Yeah, I think he could be a mid-major kid. I think he could be a solid college player. I tell kids all the time, play as much and for as long as you can, because when you get old like me and you stop bouncing the ball, it's over. So I would never tell a kid not to play. I would never tell a kid not to shoot for the stars. But at the same time, you ask me an honest question, I'll tell you a joke, but I ain't gonna tell you a lie. He's not it, bro. Not for Arizona. Not at all.
Yeah. I feel the same way. I would say this: if you wanted to stash him, for 4 years and give him the opportunity to develop, maybe I could be convinced of that. But again, you're sacrificing a scholarship that could potentially be used somewhere else. So I don't know about that. I know he has a extreme interest from Ohio State, but Ohio State, that's LeBron's hood and all that stuff. And, it is what it is. I agree with you. I think if he was anybody else, you're looking, hell, I don't even know if mid-major would even be it, because listen, he went to the Peach Jam, averaged 6 points a game. Right now, as we speak, he's averaging 7 points a game. He's not averaging a single rebound. And he's only getting 13 minutes of burn every game at Sierra Canyon. Like, if you're a high school prospect and you're only getting 13 minutes a game, that at any other place we wouldn't even be talking about you whatsoever. But hey, you're LeBron James.
I'm gonna give you a name right now. He was an afterthought. He was a guy. Arizona was done recruiting, and they brought him in. I think it might have been Pastner. I'm not sure. Don't quote me on that. Jordan Hill. Nobody had ever heard of him. Lanky project player out of Georgia, Atlanta, country guy. I remember 2 days after he was here, I picked him up and brought him down to the Pro-Am. Jordan Hill was raw, but he was 6'9". He was athletic. And by the time those dreads got through bouncing on the court at Arizona, he was a lottery pick. Nobody saw Jordan Hill coming. They can't lie and say that they knew Jordan Hill was going to be Jordan Hill, but he developed. Bryce ain't no Jordan Hill, bro. He's not no project like that. He's not no Eugene Edgerson who's going to be a banger or a thug, or no Jesse Perry in the paint. Like, he's not going to be one of them throwback inside power forward type dudes. He's not a 2 guard. I don't know where he would fit in. And to be honest with you, if Arizona's giving out scholarships to guys that are scoring 7 points a game in high school, then I got some serious questions. I'm going to drive down to McKale tomorrow and have a conversation. They're going to have to talk to me, because scholarships was about 25 points a game 30 years ago, and they've been that ever since. And we can't start giving out scholarships to 7 points again. I don't care who his dad is. And
Well,
it is what it is.
Let's talk about somebody that's averaging 31 points a game. How about that?
Now we in my price range. Now we in the neighborhood.
Now let's sweeten the pot a little bit. Let's talk about Alijah Arenas. Obviously, we know his dad. His dad was a hooper, major baller, could have been a Hall of Famer had not been for the knee injuries and maybe the old gat. But hey. But listen, Gilbert Arenas, one of the best shooters in terms of his heat you've ever come, gave Kobe the business, and now his son Alijah reclasses. He will be eligible next season. And listen, Alijah has got game without a doubt. One of the top prospects in the country. He could do it. He could dribble. He could handle. He could shoot. He could drive. To me, he's one of the best guards in the country for a reason. What do you think about his game, Corey?
Now we talking about actual hooper. A cat with a package. He got the long arm, the wingspan. He's an athlete. You know he stays in the gym because his old man is not going to let him slack on the fundamentals. Oh, yeah. Gilbert Arenas, for as much as he's a laid-back type of guy, he loves hoop. He's passionate about hoop. He's been at the highest levels. He's been around great coaches. He's pouring all that into this young man. So whether he goes G League or comes to school, you're going to have a kid that's laser focused on being a winner because his dad was a winner. His dad was he cover 2K one year, I think? Yeah. I mean, come on. How many guys' dads was on the cover of 2K? Like Gilbert was a machine. So I know his son comes from good athletic stock. I'm sure he has an entourage and a gazillion social media followers, and there's probably a little bit of a media circus that comes with him. But now we're talking about a hooper. 6'6", 197, can jump out the gym. He got a 3-ball. Man, when they get him in the weight room and get him on that bench press and them lats and them curls and get some muscle around his chest and arms, that boy going to be a problem. That's Arizona talent right there. We get our hands on him. In a dream world, we get a kid like that for 2 years. But, coming in as a freshman, letting him get after things. If a guy like KJ Lewis is around who can show him the ropes and bring him along, Carter's still here, man, that's an athletic front court right there. You know what I'm saying? Like,
hey, I tell you what, think about this.
Wingspan, athleticism, they're going to get after a lot of people.
You lose Caleb Love and you get Alijah Arenas and you team him up with Jaden Bradley, KJ Lewis, Carter Bryant, and possibly Koa Pete. Let's go.
Now we cooking.
Oh, now man. Then you're right back in it. You know what I mean?
And you got guys who don't need to be – you got guys that can go out and play 94 feet man-to-man. You got wingspan. You got deflections. You got blocks. You got steals. You got dunks. You got threes. You need some solid bigs to round it out. But you're not stepping on the court lacking talent any night all next season if you somehow pull that off.
And I think that's where Tommy Lloyd is going to start to pivot. Is I think he's going to find that balance of high level, All-American, stud freshman with, like you said, like you need to round out your roster somehow. The transfer portal is where you go to round out your roster. Get some qualified veterans that could come in here, plug and play while you try to figure out everything. I mean, to me, that would be a dream scenario. But the thing I love about Arenas too is like you can see even in those clips, like he has multiple moves. Like some guys, like we were talking about Cooper the other day, where I felt like when he gets stuck, sometimes he likes to go to that spin move, right? Alijah, you don't know where he's going to go because he's got so many moves in his bag. That's what I like. I like to see a little versatility. And when you get stuck going left, what are you going to do? Well, he's got the behind the back. He can go between the legs. He can cross you up. He can take you to the hole. He can pull up. He can step back for a 3. Like he's got a lot of versatility in his game. And I love to see that. And so putting him on, a McKale center floor would just be fantastic. And listen, man, like the legacy with his dad, I got to say this though. And I hope Gilbert sees this at some point because every time I mention Gilbert Arenas to a guy I worked with, a friend of mine by the name of Brett Hansen, I don't know if I've ever seen anybody just be like, just take a deep breath because Gilbert was just wild, man. He's just wild. And I just, I always get a chuckle out of that. I don't think his son is quite the same way because his son seems a little bit more reserved than Gilbert was. But man, it'd be nice to have another Arenas back on the court for sure.
It would. And, Gil will be the first to tell you he was foolish and immature in his youth, and he pulled a lot of pranks. Even in his first few years in the NBA, the stories are outrageous, and he'll tell them on his own podcast. He has no shame. But I think he probably is a lot older and wiser now, and his son's probably a little bit different because he's his own person. But like I said, the atmosphere of being a basketball junkie, learning the sport the right way, being effective, that young man's getting guidance that, virtually no kid in high school gets. Nobody has a guy like, most kids don't have a guy like Gilbert Arenas as their dad, making them get up 400 shots before they go to school.
600.
And even 600 shots. Well, even the kids that do, they're not getting the knowledge and the instinct that Gil's pouring into them. So would I love to see him in a Wildcat jersey? Absolutely. I think it would be great. It'd be a throwback to have, the son of Wildcat royalty suiting up in Tucson. And that's what you want. You want a program with a legacy, with a foundation, with a history. The transfer portal's changed all that. Every coach is scrambling every year to bring in mercenaries and hired guns to wear the jersey for a year or two and hope to win now. But to have somebody with a connection to the U of A and a connection to Tucson, that would be special. No doubt about it.
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, I'd be excited if that happens. And I think everybody in Wildcat Nation will be absolutely excited. And so, as we move forward, we'll take a look at how these things are moving forward. And hopefully, as we get wind of more certainty one way or another, we'll obviously let you know on this podcast. But you can always follow and watch our daily show, which is the AZ Wildcats podcast with my guy, Mike Luke. He does tremendous work. He's always back in the A, always an insider of sorts to get you all up to date in terms of basketball and football recruiting. Obviously, today was huge, National Signing Day. Corey, when you signed your letter of intent, where were you? What did it look like? I know back in those days you had to fax it because there was no digital copy. What was the scene there?
Letter of intent. I committed to Arizona the fall of my junior year. The letter got faxed to my high school. My high school coach printed it out, brought it to me. I took it home and I handed it to my parents and they read it over. And I remember signing it on my mom's dresser in their bedroom. And then I just put it in my book bag and took it back to school and we sent it back the next day. And there was a local news reporter that came by and ran a story on it. And that was pretty much it. And signing early was probably the best thing I did because I got to play my entire junior year. I was Corey Williams that's headed to Arizona. So I hit the press and got even more publicity as a junior. And then I got to play my senior year, enjoying my friends, the guys that I grew up with, knowing it was our last go round. Me going to Arizona was a foregone conclusion. So I got to play my senior year with a clear head, and it was the best, one of the best. It didn't end the best, but it was one of the best years of my life. I really had a good time. So all the guys signing and getting it out of the way, of course, it means a lot. It's a lot different now in terms of what it means than what it meant 30 years ago when I was signing. But still, it's a great occasion. It's to mark of a lot of a long road. It's a milestone in a road that's going to hopefully be a long road for these guys, but you should take time to enjoy it and appreciate what you've accomplished. Getting a college scholarship, being one of the top players in the country out of the millions of kids that are playing high school basketball, it's not something to be taken lightly. I think they should take a time to realize as a milestone because basketball goes and ends so quick. You want to appreciate every part that you can.
For sure. No doubt. My experience was a little different. Obviously I signed in, at a JUCO straight out of high school. And it was kind of the same thing. And the coach walked into my backyard. We had a conversation and he gave me the letter of intent. I signed it on a box of Converse basketball shoes, the ones that Kentucky wore in the national championship. And then he gave me those shoes and he took off, and that was that. And what's so funny too is I don't think a lot of people realize this. When you sign a scholarship, it's a per year deal. It's not a 4-year scholarship. It's not a 4-year deal or a 2-year if you're going to JUCO. Like, it's year after year. You have to sign another letter of intent or commitment that next season as well. I did not know that until year 2 came around, and my coach put it back in front of me, and I was like, "What's this?" He was like, "Oh, you need to sign." And I was just like, "Oh, you mean I could have left?" So I signed it. It was kind of funny too, because I was playing with my high school guys back in the day, and we happened to play in a tournament that ran in against my JUCO, and we torched their ass. Their ass. And I swear, I feel like my coach wasn't going to sign me back because he had some animosity with me. But once we torched them, he was just like, "Yeah, we need Saul back because we can't win with these dudes."
There you go.
Anyway, we appreciate you all for joining us. Make sure you hit that like button on the way out. We would really, really appreciate it. Also, there's so many events this week. I could have gotten to more of them, but it doesn't matter. Check out gophnx.com/events. There's so much cool stuff going on. We got a lot of cool stuff. Make sure you check that out. Also, you only got like maybe 2 hours to become a diehard at a significantly discounted rate, $36 for the next. It was 36 hours. We extended it a little bit. So come become a diehard. Get in the Discord. Talk ball with us. We would love to do that because we just love this. Thank you so much to Amelia, AZ Wildcat fan, Gringo Billy. The list goes on and on. 300 people watching this live today. I think this is our biggest one. Also, KU's getting housed, y'all. They're losing by double digits to Creighton. Creighton is unranked. Like we said, it doesn't matter in November and December. It only matters once conference play starts. That's when you really find out what dudes are made of, like Corey said. So we appreciate you all for joining us. Until next time, you can follow him at College Corey on Twitter or on X, whatever the hell you want to call it, and also on Instagram, because my guy hasn't got a Blue Sky account. You can follow me at Saul_Bookman on the same 2 platforms, or Saul Bookman at Blue Sky as well. And you can follow the show at PHNX Wildcats on both and basically every platform except for Instagram. So until next time, folks, we love y'all. Bear down.
We all silly like the mayor.